Today, we are going to talk about something you may celebrate every year, but don't truly understand. We see it everywhere. Hearts, chocolates, roses, people saying Happy Valentine's Day. But what is Valentine's Day? Really? Where did it come from? Why do we celebrate love on February 14th? Is it just a holiday for couples? Or is there something much deeper? Something you were never told? Because behind this one day of gifts and romance, there is a real man, a secret, a sacrifice, a story that begins not in a restaurant, but inside the dark walls of the Roman Empire, where love was banned. This is not just a story of Valentine's Day. This is the story of what it means to truly love, even when the world is against you. And as you listen to this story, you're also improving your English with real history, simple words, and powerful storytelling. So if you want to learn more English through emotional, true stories like this, subscribe to our channel, because we don't just teach English, we make it unforgettable. Chapter 1. The World Before Love. The Roman Empire, 3rd century. The year is around 250 AD. You are living in the Roman Empire, the largest and most powerful empire in the world at that time. But it's not a peaceful time. Rome is at war, fighting against enemies from the outside and dealing with rebellion inside. Soldiers are dying. Enemies are growing. And the Emperor Claudius II is worried. He believes he has found the answer: stronger soldiers. And how do you make soldiers stronger? Remove love. That's what he believes. Emperor Claudius II made a shocking decision. He believed that when men get married, they become weak. Why? Because they start to think about their wives, their children, their home. They no longer want to die for war. They want to live for their family. So he made a new rule. Marriage is banned. No man in the Roman army was allowed to marry. No wedding, no commitment, no family. If you wanted to serve the empire, you had to give up love. Imagine this world now. You fall in love. You want to marry. You want to build a home. But the government says no. Thousands of young couples cried in silence. They couldn't get married. They couldn't start a life together. They were forced to live like strangers. People were scared. They whispered their love in dark corners. They avoided soldiers. They stopped dreaming. But someone was watching this pain. Someone who believed that love should never be a crime. And his name was Valentine. The empire was silent. No weddings, no celebrations, no love stories. But inside that silence, one man was not afraid. His name was Valentine. He was a Christian priest living in Rome. But more than that, he was a believer in something the empire had forgotten: the power of love. Who was Valentine? Valentine was not a king, not a soldier, not a man of war. He was a quiet priest who believed in faith, kindness, and compassion. In a time when Christianity was still illegal in Rome, he was already taking risks just by living his truth. But what made him different was this: he believed marriage was sacred. He believed two people who loved each other had a right, a divine right, to be united. So when Emperor Claudius banned marriage, Valentine didn't stay silent. He didn't go to war. He didn't give speeches in public. He didn't fight with weapons. Instead, he fought with faith. At first, it was just one couple. They came to him quietly, afraid, desperate. "Father Valentine," they said, "we love each other, but the empire won't allow us to marry. Can you help us?" Valentine looked at them. He didn't see rebels. He didn't see enemies of Rome. He saw two hearts, ready to become one. He agreed. That night, in the candlelit corner of his small church, he married them in secret. No one knew. No soldier was watching. Only God and love. But it didn't stop there. Word began to spread. Whispers moved across the city. There's a priest who will marry you. Young lovers, desperate to be together, began knocking on his door. He married them in gardens, in cellars, in caves, even inside prison cells. Each ceremony was small, but sacred. No rings, no celebration, only love, only commitment, only Valentine. But nothing in Rome stayed a secret forever. Soon the whispers became rumors, and the rumors became reports. The emperor's men began to investigate. They searched, they spied, until one day, Valentine was caught. He was arrested in the middle of a secret wedding. The young couple ran. Valentine stayed behind. He was dragged through the streets. People watched from their windows, some in fear, some in admiration. He was taken to prison. And there, in that dark, cold cell, he waited for his punishment. Claudius II was told about Valentine. He was angry, but also curious. He sent for Valentine, and they met. It is said that Claudius actually liked him at first. He admired his bravery, his intelligence, his calm nature. "Why do you go against my orders?" Claudius asked. Valentine replied, "Because love comes from God, not from your laws. And love is the highest law." The emperor was furious. He gave Valentine one last chance. "Stop marrying people. Bow to me. Reject your faith, and I will let you live." Valentine refused. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't fight. He simply said, "I would rather die for love than live in fear." That was the moment his fate was sealed. Valentine was sent back to prison to await execution. But even there, his story didn't stop, because in that same prison, another love story was about to begin. Chapter 2. A love story behind bars. The letter that changed history. Valentine was sent back to prison to await execution. But even there, his story didn't stop, because in that same prison, another love story was about to begin. The prison was cold. The walls were made of stone. There was very little light. Only a small window high above the wall allowed a thin line of sunlight to enter during the day. Valentine was no longer free. He had no church. No couples coming secretly at night. No candles. No prayers spoken over newly married lovers. Only silence. Only chains. Only time. But even in that darkness, something about him was different. The other prisoners noticed it. He did not cry. He did not curse the emperor. He did not complain. Instead, he prayed. He spoke gently to the guards. He comforted the prisoners. He remained calm. It was as if the prison could not break him. The man in charge of the prison was a Roman officer. Some stories say his name was Asterius. He had heard about Valentine. He knew this was not an ordinary criminal. This was a priest. A man who married people in secret. A man who refused to obey the emperor. The jailer was curious. One day he decided to meet Valentine face to face. They talked for hours. They discussed faith. They discussed truth. They discussed love. The jailer began to see that Valentine was not dangerous. He was not violent. He was not trying to destroy Rome. He was simply protecting something pure. The jailer had a daughter. She was young, kind, gentle, but she was blind. From birth, she had never seen the sky, never seen her father's face, never seen sunlight, flowers, or the city of Rome. She lived in darkness. When the jailer spoke to Valentine about her, he said, "My daughter cannot see. If your God is real, can he help her? This was not just a question, it was a test. The jailer brought his daughter to the prison cell. Imagine this moment. A blind young girl carefully walking into a cold prison room, her father guiding her hand, chains on the wall, a priest sitting in silence. Valentine spoke gently to her. He described the world to her in words. He told her about the blue sky. He explained what the ocean looks like. He described the color of roses. He spoke about sunlight, about birds, about love. For the first time in her life, she began to imagine light. She visited him again, and again, and again. They talked about faith, about hope, about kindness. Some stories say she began to believe in his God. Some stories say she began to love him, not in a romantic way, but in a deep, emotional, spiritual way. A connection formed between them. In the middle of